Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers on the broadcast today. It's an all-pundit program with a great lineup. Lindsay Knox is here, Eva Segerblom, and Fred Lokken. It's all coming up next on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
When in Carson City, Nevada Newsmakers records in the conference room at the Bank Saloon. Coverage of the 2021 Nevada legislative session is brought to you by Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you. Ahern Rentals is ready for your next project. Liberty Dental Plan, making members shine one smile at a time. And Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we have an all-pundit show coming to you from Carson City with a terrific panel. Lindsay Knox is here, Policy Director for McDonald, Carano, Wilson. Fred Lokken is Professor of Political Science at Truckee Meadows Community College. And Eva Segerblom is attorney with Maddox, Segerblom, and Canepa. Welcome to you all. So Lindsay, let's start out with the big news that came out yesterday as we're taping this program, which is the amount of money that the Economic Forum now says is available, roughly about $500 million more than we thought. Your thoughts on this and where it should be going?
Where it should be going, I think we need to fix the rainy day fund. That needs to be, I think, number one. I think we also need to make sure that we look at the Medicaid cuts that were done during the special session. That needs to be reinstated. And then we need to also look at the unemployment insurance and make sure that those dollars go there to fix that system to make sure that this never happens again.
Fred?
Well, we're also facing 12% budget cuts for most state agencies starting July 1 for each of the next 2 years. So I certainly would hope that that would be a priority as well. I don't think funding any grandiose new ideas would probably be pragmatic at this time. We think the recovery is strong, but there is going to be a special session later. They could always add more. But I think the notion of just fortifying, maybe considering even either improving some of the benefits for state workers or even a pay increase. You know, we've been back to back with the Great Recession and now this with major budget cuts. State agencies saw a 20% cut and now a 12% promised on top of that. Can't do our jobs with a state that now has 3.1 million people. So.
The one thing that has not been mentioned by our two previous panelists is funding for education. So where do you fall on this?
And that's the other thing that my mind went to is, you know, obviously that's not going to stretch that far, but I agree with both Lindsay and Fred. They have great ideas, but there does have to be something with education because obviously that's been such a dramatic cuts to education and just the way that teachers have had to operate in the past year especially, and the fact that we haven't been investing in it is criminal. So,
do you see the federal funds being part of the solution to that?
Hopefully, I think that's where they should go. But there's so many things that are struggling right now that, obviously I don't make the decision, but I think that would be a good place for them.
Lindsay, I was a little surprised that you talked about the rainy day fund first, because it seems to me that it's still raining. And so, do you get through the crisis and then start looking at, putting excess funds in the rainy day fund?
And maybe that's the right approach, is to take those dollars coming from the feds and do that then, and focus on, our current situation. I think that, we worked so hard years ago to make sure that there was a surplus in there. That I think that we're all kind of concerned that if we were to go down this path again, we're going to be in harm's way. But with those federal dollars, my concern always is that you could potentially create a larger problem in 2023 if we don't put those dollars in correctly. And maybe the rainy day fund is the best place for those dollars.
Fred, with almost $3 billion additional funding coming to the state of Nevada, are you concerned that we're going to overheat the state's economy? Because according to State Senator Scott Hammond, we've already seen roughly $18 billion coming into Nevada.
Well, this has been a very difficult economic situation for anyone to predict. We didn't know what the pandemic was really doing to the economy. If we roll back a year, a number of economists were saying, well, the fundamentals of the economy were good. We were, especially in Nevada, we were showing real growth. We had this would have been a different session if we had not had the pandemic, for sure. But we weren't sure if there was some real damage. Las Vegas is less recession-proof than it ever has been, but actually it's coming back remarkably well. I've been hearing 2022, 2023 before it fully recovers. Now I'm thinking it'll probably be August or September. I mean, if they were back with conventions, they're in great shape. But the Northern Nevada economy we functioned during shutdown. We were down back in a 4-point-something unemployment rate already. So we're going to plunge even lower. The rarefication of the Northern Nevada economy should concern us, because we're not handling the growth right now. We're not handling the increased housing costs. And the quality of life is really being attacked. So I think we have to be very pragmatic. Hopefully we're using some very good advice in how and probably not doing things that would really stimulate the economy right now. Let's wait until this fall and see how we're doing.
You agree?
I do. I mean, especially living up here in Northern Nevada, the growth is out of control, and nothing, I don't think, is really being planned for in terms of all of the infrastructure. We can't just create all these, special districts for each new huge subdivision that goes in. There has to be some infrastructure, and there has to be some real evaluation when they're approving all of this new housing.
Well, so here's the conundrum, which is that no population would ever agree to pay for future growth because the cost would be so high, and they would be saying, well, we don't have anybody here, so why are we building out? You have rare exceptions to that, where you have somebody like Roger Norman, who purchased the Tahoe Industrial Center, and the key to his success was putting in all the infrastructure before the project really got going, so therefore people were able to come and get going right away. But that's never going to happen with general development. It has the infrastructure has to come midway and through the project, not at the front end.
Well, I think we're trying, especially in the city of Reno. You look at Stonegate and what they're trying to do out in the North Valleys area. They're trying to build that infrastructure up front to make sure that it's ready. And there's been a lot of holdups to get that, project completed. So using SADs has been very popular in the South. The North needs to catch up with that.
Okay, what's an SAD?
Special Assessment District,
okay.
I apologize. But the North needs to catch up with that and utilize that bonding to make sure that infrastructure is built. It is then the payment that it will be paid for by that community, and it's not being put on the rest of the city of Reno.
Diversification, you talked about this, and we've had this discussion on the program quite a bit recently, which is, yes, the North was able to diversify, but still the tourism economy plummeted because the casinos were closed, and now it is recovering and recovering rapidly, and it's wonderful that there's all this pent-up demand. But in Las Vegas, what are you going to build that will diversify the economy if tourism, for whatever reason, goes down? God forbid a terrorist attack, a pandemic, whatever it might be, or a great recession, that tourism industry is going to get hit again. So isn't diversification just going to supply another means of taxation to maintain government rather than saving an industry? Because you can't. I mean, 150,000 hotel rooms in Las Vegas, it's going up in the near future. If there's a downturn in tourism, that's going to happen no matter what.
Well, Clark County has been all in on its industry, and of course, we've all benefited in the state from the success of the Las Vegas Strip. I hear you. The problem that I guess I see in all of this is that we're just not showing a pragmatism of being prepared. I think when she mentioned the rainy day fund, if we were to get an unexpected variant, we could plunge. Our lack of diversification yet in the state economy does make us vulnerable to like a wave. They're saying now Washington State and Oregon are in a fourth wave. If it's a variant, maybe the Indian variant or some other type of variant that this vaccine does not work on, we could find ourselves, I don't know if America can shut down again, but we could clearly still see a real impact to the Clark County economy. So we have to cross our fingers going forward. And the trick of diversification down there, I think, Sisolak had included the enterprise idea of blockchains down there to get something going. They've had a number of mega projects that have failed, but they need something to counterbalance just so they don't see such a plummet, a 30% unemployment rate. That's
right,
devastating.
but I guess my point is, and you could, look at other states and cities that have an industry, Detroit with auto, Pennsylvania with steel. I mean, you name the area, there's going to be a dominant industry. If something attacks that industry, right now Detroit is suffering from the lack of computer chips. Diversification allows you to have other businesses functioning, keeping employment going within those businesses to counterbalance, so you have taxation that is still coming to state and local governments. But you can't insulate against a whole industry being under attack, whatever that attack might be. For those on the radio, you're just looking at me like, was there a question in there?
So, again, something like the pandemic can have necessarily been predicted in terms of everything being shut down. Obviously, there's other ways, I think this doesn't necessarily apply to Clark County, but they have to start with taxing mining. I mean, that has to be something that will help the state overall, and that's something that can be done. In terms of diversification for Clark County, I think they have to focus on, again, prioritizing education, prioritizing infrastructure so that younger educated people want to move there or are growing up there so that there can be businesses. I mean, that's really the only thing that could be sustainable to dovetail with the tourist economy, but attracting businesses. And obviously a lot of people are moving down there because they can work remotely, but let's make it attractive, not necessarily just with tax cuts, but with other things for other businesses to move there. Well,
you bring up now a great point. Jamie Dimon, being interviewed yesterday, said that the bank is coming, JP Morgan, they're going to come back to the offices, and if people don't like the commute, so what? And so, is remote working going to be the big thing that people think it is, or are people going to want to have people coming back to the office to work?
I think it is such a business-specific decision. I know in our office, our government affairs team works very well being together because we work as a team daily. But do my other attorneys need to be in the office all day? I don't know. And so I think you'll see more of maybe a hybrid approach. Come in, come out. You work maybe Tuesday, Thursdays, or Monday, Wednesday, Fridays to keep kind of that team mentality. I don't see it ever going back just to brick and mortar. I think people have enjoyed this freedom in a sense, and people are being more efficient. I hear it every day. I'm more efficient at home. I personally am not. I would go insane working from home. But it works for some, it doesn't work for others. And so I think you have to create that balance in the employees that you trust to do that. You need to allow them to do it. It's going to be tricky, but I think that it's important to create more of a hybrid model for people.
What about social interaction, Fred? Is that not important both on a school level as well as in the workplace?
Well, this answer is specific to that as well. For some people, it's critical. It's mission critical. For others, no, it's not. And that's a lesson that's been driven home during the pandemic. We've had faculty and students who have thrived in this environment. They've become creative, they're excited because they've found new ways to connect, they've found power on the internet that they didn't have in the traditional classroom of being able to do things and expose students to things. And there are others that are finding it the most miserable experience possible. They're making every excuse and just can't wait to get physically back together. But I will tell you, there is a false concept about that togetherness is the magic spark. It is not in many instances. We had dull teaching before in the classroom, and we're going to return to dull teaching. It can be kinetic, but there's no guarantee it is. But it's the comfortable, it's the familiar. As someone who has 20 years managed online learning, I'm really upset. Online learning performed like a champ at K-12 and higher ed across the country. When it failed, it's because people failed. They failed to prepare. It's the failure of administrations who didn't think that something might happen like this. If it's not a pandemic, it could be a fire, it could be an earthquake, it could be a flood, a hurricane. Everybody should have a fault tolerance disaster recovery plan. And they were caught with their pants down, and they blame the modality. Well, if you don't train the teachers, if you've never exposed the students to it, what do you expect it to do? You guaranteed it was going to fail. So I hope that we learn from this. And that's the notion that for some people, they may be more productive at home. And I think a company would be foolish to arbitrarily force them back into the corporation site if they get more productivity with them at home.
Eva, he has just laid out 2 more shows for me right there. Your thoughts on any of the points that you want to pick up on there?
No, I honestly agree with both of them. I think that we do have to look at more hybrid models for both education and for working. You know, there are certain things obviously that you can't do remotely, like your job, for example, Sam, you were mentioning. And so, you know, that's something that we have to plan for, but there's just going to be a lot of unknown, especially I think with climate change, with some of the natural disasters that may occur coming up, or who knows, another disease. But what we have to look at is investing in the people and investing in sort of the infrastructure to allow, you know, like high-speed internet, for example, to allow the possibility of working remotely, the possibility of attending school remotely for those who do better in that environment.
And I think that the idea that we need to improve our broadband access, not just in the big cities, but all across the states, has now become to the fore, which it should have been, but nobody really understood that. Let's take a break. We'll come back much more after this timeout.
Located in the heart of Carson City, the Bank Saloon, a historic watering hole with a modern feel. With a variety of classic cocktails, featuring Nevada spirits, space for private events, conferences, and an incredible atmosphere. The Bank Saloon offers a great location to work and play. Come visit us. Located at the corner of 5th and Carson. We'll save you a drink.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com. Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
The Do It Right guys at Nevada Heating have one mission. Your air conditioner breaks down today. We fix it today. Why sweat for days while your air is down when Nevada Heating can get the job done today and you can get cool again? For nearly 50 years, locally owned Nevada Heating has been getting the job done right. Call today at 323-5585 or see us online at nevadaheating.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we have a great all pundit show going with Lindsay Knox, Eva Segerblom, and Fred Lokken. Lindsay, the discussions are going on in private right now about mining taxes, gaming taxes. Is there anything that is leaking out that you can share with us, or is it all completely under wraps?
It is completely under wraps. I don't work in those two areas, so I don't get to be part of those discussions. I have not heard anything. Now I see those lobbyists wandering the halls and out on the sides of the building, but I have not heard anything regarding taxes, but hopefully with this new surplus, we don't have to go down that path this session.
Do you think that is realistic?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you.
I do not, but I like to be wishful thinking sometimes. But those are not, discussions that I've even heard, leaks about, especially from a gaming tax perspective.
Okay, so Fred, essentially then, the last week of the session, this is going to pop out. And actually, let me throw in the question, which is, the discussion has been in the hallways that, try to get these initiative petitions off the ballot. Is that even legal?
Well, I think that if they take action, it would call into question the need to do. Other things are going to go on the ballot. I mean, Keycover is going to go ahead with his primary idea now as initiative. But this is going to be a very explosive May, and the session does end in this month. And so between this information of how much money they actually do have to spend now, and the good news of $2.9 billion coming, we were commenting that we think there's going to just be an explosion of ideas. This was a session there wasn't going to be any new spending, no new taxation. They're going to take this all up at the end of the session now. I cannot predict what's going to bubble out in the next few weeks.
Okay, but Eva, do they have enough time? I mean, we got 3 weeks left.
And I was just thinking, I was monitoring a bill yesterday, and no one testified against, no one testified in support. There were only hearing 2 bills in this committee, and I was thinking, this is, home stretch, and it seems like no one is paying attention. But it's, as usual, it's all going to happen at the very end, and we don't know what's coming, but hopefully the people working in that building have some idea, and it's just going to be another marathon sprint to the end.
It may be that 1 a.m. is the time the session ends. That happened once before during the Gwynn administration. Let's take another break. We'll be right back.
Tamarack Casino is giving away 2 Mercedes-Benz during the $125,000 Benz or cash giveaways. Plus, players get 5 times points on video reels every Friday. Win 2 Mercedes-Benz now through May at Tamarack Casino.
Hey guys, are you watching the game at a friend's or the bar again because you can't watch at home with your wife? Or worse, because she kicked you out and kept your couch, your flat screen, and your kids? What's the one thing a man needs when he loses a good woman? A good lawyer. And when he loses a bad woman, he needs a great lawyer. What makes a good woman a bad woman? You tell me. You're the one that can't watch the game in your own home. I'm men's rights attorney Marilyn York, and I represent men in divorce, custody, and family law matters.
Hi, I'm Dave Newman. Remember me? I used to be the house detective, and now I'm a realtor, full-time at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates. A lot of people ask me, how's the market? You know what? It's fantastic. If you're even kicking around the idea of buying or selling, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Call me at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates and just ask for the guy who used to be the house detective, Dave Newman.
Everyone is talking about opioids, but they're not the only drugs that can be harmful if taken in large quantities or not as prescribed. You also need to be aware of side effects from anxiety drugs, muscle relaxants, sleep aids, and stimulants. Mixing prescription drugs with other drugs or alcohol can be dangerous. If you take an Ambien with a glass of wine, it may be enough to stop you from breathing. Prescribed drugs can be just as dangerous as illegal drugs. Take medications only as directed.
Tamarack Casino is giving away 2 Mercedes-Benz during the $125,000 Benz or cash giveaways. Plus, players get 5 times points on video reels every Friday. Win 2 Mercedes-Benz now through May at Tamarack Casino.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, our remaining minutes with Eva Segerblom, Fred Lokken, and Lindsay Knox. Lindsay, let me start with you. Governor's emergency powers. Are we going to see anything change about this incredible length of powers that the legislature never tried to get involved with?
I don't think you're going to see it this session. That's just my thoughts, is that again, we're getting towards the end of session and nothing has yet come out. Obviously it can. I don't see that changing this session. I think we have to create more balance in our government before that happens.
Fred?
I agree.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
No,
feel free to elaborate.
Yeah, I would say no. There's too much else to be done before the end of session, but also no need to rock the boat and bring attention to that before the election.
A very interesting point to end on. I think that may be our quote of the day.
I think so,
and
too.
we'll be right back. Brian Culpa Photography was born in the rolling hills of Massachusetts, and now he can help you experience the stunning beauty of Nevada in a whole new way through the power of flight. Flying has always been a passion for Brian, and at Brian Culpa Photography, he can make your imagination soar. Brian has the creative mind and tools to tell your unique story. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Hey, Dad? Are you learning? This place is great. Huh? You gotta try this.
Wow, this stuff is great. People are gonna love it.
Yes. Yes, they will.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
As always, you can watch Nevada Newsmakers on television, radio, audio and video, podcasts, and YouTube. We'll see you on the next broadcast coming to you from Carson City. See you then.